Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we're going to be working in a portion of my garden that I rarely show on video because there's not a lot going on here, and what is here is a hot mess. So we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. We're going to work on the Japanese Snowball Viburnum back here, and we're going to be planting a couple of new plants to enhance this corner. Okay, so this is the back corner of my backyard garden. This direction is west over here. So we are here later in the evening. It's a little after, I think it's almost 7 o'clock. There's a lot going on up here. I use it a lot as storage. I've tried to grow other things like hollyhocks back here, a couple of different things. But we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup today, and we're going to try to do a little bit of work on the Japanese Snowball Viburnum, and we're going to be planting a couple of new varieties of plants. So let's get started. Okay, so there are like some things over here, like an old table, an old, an old planter with the bottom broken out. Move that over. Big weed. Just gonna make a pile of weeds. I've got some old chairs back here that I'm actually gonna end up sliding back into place to protect some of the new plants that I end up planting. The reason being is that this will be a new area. My mowers won't be familiar with this area, so I don't want them to hack down the existing plants here. Actually, I might leave these in place. This is one of those like windmill things. Let me stick this guy somewhere else right now. Okay. So this guy supposedly is a Japanese Snowball Viburnum. The leaves absolutely look like a Japanese Snowball Viburnum. I chatted with a couple of people about this during the garden tour, and they suggested that I limit up to allow a little bit less growth at the base, and then to perhaps encourage some blooms because it has never bloomed for me. I grew this from bare root, like a tiny bare root, like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and it's filled in beautifully. It is really beautiful. I do enjoy it, but it's never giving me any flowers. So that's obviously something that I want to work on. So I think I'm going to start by pulling some weeds back here. Let me get gloves and let's get started on that. Okay, got that cleared out a little bit, just so I can see a little bit about what's going on. So this guy is probably about 6 feet tall. I'm 5'10". So pretty tall, beautiful. I would like it to have more of a tree format, to grow up large, and then eventually be able to plant stuff underneath it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get down here, and there's a million different like branches down here at the base that don't really need to be here. It's almost like, you know how a crepe myrtle puts like new growth off at the bottom? That's what it looks like under here. So what I would like to do is really just get it focused on like one trunk almost. me get y'all closer so you can see that. Okay. I'm going to take out one of these lower branches so it's a little easier for y'all to see. Okay. So you can see I've taken off a lot of this extra growth. I'm going to take some of them all the way down to the ground if I can. And I'm kind of looking and I'm kind of feeling like there's two main branches to focus on. And it would be cool if this was a multi-chunk. That'd be interesting. So I'm feeling like this one, and then there's one towards the back. And I want to take out this middle one right here. It doesn't seem as strong or as large as the other two. And then I want to start cleaning up everything that's lower in on these two main trunks that I'm creating here. Okay, then I'm going to come up, I'm going to limb this up even further so that we're really exposing this lower portion of what we're now creating, which is a tree. Wow. I think I'm going to take this one and this one. This is a pretty heavy pruning, y'all, okay? But we really want to take it a tree direction. And you can definitely see that that is definitely occurring now at this point. Super cool. And then obviously as this Japanese Viburnum continues to grow upward, I will continue to remove leaves and limbs that grow underneath. Okay, so while we're here, turns out at some point in time, I decided to put in some drip lines down here that aren't necessarily, I must have put them in here for the hollyhock. Now I think it makes me annoyed that I left them here for this long because that was wasted water. There wasn't a lot going on here. However, they have given the viburnum support throughout probably the driest parts of the year. So I'm going to leave that, and that'll work really good because I'm going to continue adding additional plants into this area. And what I really wanted to do is really use the plants as kind of a natural mulch to suppress weed growth or grass growth over here. So let me go ahead and move all these branches over, and then let's talk about adding some iron to this Japanese Snowball Viburnum because it has struggled with iron issues in the past. I haven't filled up this bed yet with soil. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I've just been filling it with all my remnants and cuts, which works great. So Dr. Iron is my go-to product for plants that are struggling with iron deficiency. And I did add some of this last year, and this has not had nearly as much issues with veining chlorosis, where it kind of gets really yellow with dark green veins. It's doing better this year. But I went ahead and added a couple more handfuls, and then I'm also going to go ahead and add some fertilizer. Only fertilizer I have on hand right now is rosestone. And just adding a couple of handfuls of the rosestone and scratching it in to the base of the soil. Just like that. Okay, let's talk about the plants we're going to add here. Okay, since I have existing drip, that's great. One last thing for me to do. What I'm wanting to do is I'm kind of wanting to put something a little bit larger scale right over here. And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. I want to soften the edge of this trough. I would like for these, even though they are obviously man-made, I would like for them to begin to look like they've been here for quite a while, right? And that they've kind of just grown beautifully into the space and things have grown around them. I really like that whole idea. Secondly, I have an area back here behind the trough that quite frequently gets a lot of weeds and grass. And I don't want that anymore. So I'm hoping that by putting a larger plant here, that eventually over time, you won't see that anymore. I'm literally running into like a giant rock. Let's pull that rock out, which is what happens along this retaining wall right here. Run into rocks all the time. So I'm coming in here, loosening up the dirt. It's a lot of soil, a lot of clay soil here. I'm going to go ahead and toss in some rose tone here, so I have fertilizer. All right, and let's talk about the plant planting here. We are planting a eupatorium called Gateway, which is also known as a Joe Pye weed. It grows kind of wine red foliage with deep pink flowers. I would say the foliage is more like deep green colors, and it blooms July through September. It loves full sun to have shade, and it grows up to 6 feet tall. So it is a massive plant. It is a perennial in my area, and its flowers can be utilized as cut flowers, and it does great with our heat. It loves the heat. So I'm really excited to kind of get this in here. And I bought this on the Bluestone Perennials 50% off sale that they were having, and they're no longer having that current sale. However, they do run sales every week. Every Friday they announce a new set of plants that are on sale throughout the summer. So you can check that up, and they're usually on sale for 50% off. And all of Bluestone Perennials comes in these kind of cocoa liners, and the roots actually grow out the bottom. So you don't even have to take the plant out of it. You just take the plastic off and you just get it positioned into the hole. And then we're going to go ahead and backfill with that. I think I'm going to backfill it with a little bit of potting soil, just so that we have a little bit more room, a little bit less clay. Let me grab some. And I'm just going to loosen up some more of this clay. See, the soil on top's pretty good. It's just all clay underneath. Break it apart. Then add several handfuls of the potting soil. Mix it up with some of the clay. And then we'll pop this guy in, just like that. And like I said, we've already got drip lines set up to here. So it should be good. And I think I'm going to use some extra rocks to go around it. And then, like I said, I'm going to end up putting the chair back on top of it so that my mowers don't cut it down. Just like that. Okay, and then moving backwards a little bit, now that we've revealed some more space underneath, I want to tuck in my Big Kahuna coneflower or echinacea here. And there's going to be a lot of root competition here because of the Japanese Snowball Viburnum, but I think it can handle it. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosen up some of the soil. Tons of worms in here. I'll put you back in a minute, dude. Let's get some of this soil. And the Big Kahuna echinacea is this beautiful kind of honey mango color. Beautiful. It's a little bit towards the center, a little bit of purple towards the center. Just beautiful. Lots of worms here. And it gets about 28 inches tall, so it should fill this space nicely. And then of course, as this continues to grow, I'll continue to limit up more, so you'll have more space here. But I think it would be a beautiful pop of color here. Now, if at any time I want to move this, I'm not worried about moving this. Y'all know I'm pretty flexible about moving things around. It doesn't really bother me per se, to dig things up and move them around. I don't think it's really hard to have too many permanent things in a garden such as mine. Now, if some of you gardeners, have gardens that have been established for decades, different situation for you, obviously. Okay, so we've got our Echinacea, Big Kahuna, coneflower, honey mango colored 4-inch blooms, which are awesome, blooms summer to fall. It does say it's propagation prohibited. Full sun to partial shade, about 26, 28 inches tall. And once again, we'll just leave it right here in the container. And I think I need to go a little bit deeper with my hole. There we go. And let's just go ahead and backfill around that. And it's got the drip lines, which are right here, already here around it. Okay, I'm so excited. This is an area I've really been wanting to work on, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money on it. So by doing it with these half-price plants from Bluestem Perennials, really excited because these should be absolutely beautiful plants over the years. Okay, let's go ahead and give them a really nice drink. And I feel like I should grab a couple of stones to go around the base of the Echinacea, so I'm going to do that too. I'm also going to water in some of this fertilizer over here. We are expecting more rain this week. It'll be good. I'll grab some more stones. There's rocks around it just to protect it. And then I do have plans for these chairs in the future. I'm going to go ahead and put them over these to protect them until these are larger, more mature plants. Because I certainly don't want them getting knocked down by a weed whacker at this point in time. Okay, a couple other things while we have a minute. Over here I have some moonshine yarrow that I have not trimmed, which is not good because that signals it to stop growing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all the heads of it off. I do have an obedient plant that's starting to fill in the space nicely, which is exciting. And then I have a lantana in the front here. Looks better. I also have a container filled with bicolor purple and white dianthus that I grew from seed. These are actually a year old. And they need to be severely cut back so that we can get some new growth stimulated on them. As long as I cut them back, they will continue to produce blooms. Okay, I'm going to move this backwards a little bit too, because it does have drip lines run to it. Okay. And then also I have some verbascum that has gone to seed. I'm just going to cut it and lay it down. Hopefully it reseeds itself. So I'm the kind of gardener where it's not necessarily instant gratification for me the way it used to, where I'd plant tons and tons of annuals and beautiful color. Now the things that are making me happy are the idea of planting these plants, like these perennials that I've planted here, knowing that they will grow up and in a few years they will be stunning. in these locations, and then I won't have to do much with them. So I changed over the years. Now, obviously, I did not go buy a 3-gallon plant or 5-gallon plant and put it here and spend the money on that. Instead, I spent, like $8 on each of these. And I will have to wait, but I think it'll be worth it, and it's going to be worth it on my budget, which should be great. So here's the Eupatorium gateway, also known as Joe Pye weed. It's about 6 feet tall. And we'll fill in this space beautifully and soften the side. It will come forward. It will be absolutely beautiful. And then we've got an echinacea called the Big Kahuna, beautiful honey mango color. And it gets about 26, 28 inches tall, beautiful cut flowers that are about 4 inches across right there. And then this, by the time the echinacea is full grown, this will be much taller. This guy gets way taller, I think at 12, 15 feet maybe, which would be great for it to grow up and fill this corner. You can usually see, when I'm standing close to the fence, but when I stand on my patio, I can clearly see these people's windows. So that'll be really great to have that. And now I've got it trained as a multi-trunk, so 2 trunks going at this point in time. And I might allow another 3rd one to grow in the future, but who knows? I think it already looks more interesting and limbed up. And I really think the people who were at the garden tour who chatted with me about it, about why mine hasn't bloomed. And so we'll see if this change helps out regarding that and allows it to spend less time on all those additional suckers that it was growing and more time putting on growth for blooms perhaps next year. And then we did go ahead and treat that with Dr. Iron and some new fertilizer. And as a reminder, this is all hooked up to drip irrigation at the back, so all of these will be getting drip throughout the summer. Okay, so I'm in the sun here, but if I walk forward, the sun is officially behind the willow tree, which is kind of nice. But yeah, really excited about this, really excited to see it grow. Foundation plants like this are really expensive typically if you're going to buy them large scale. And I did start this from bare root several years ago, and so it is definitely was worth the. I don't even think I spent $10 on it. And even if it never blooms, the leaves are beautiful. They can also be utilized for cut flower arrangements. And it adds a really nice, interesting texture that I don't necessarily have in other trees in my area. And then creating the multi-trunk will just be a beautiful feature here someday. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, checking me out as I plant a couple of 50% off perennials and limb up my tree for a completely different look and makeover in this portion of the garden. We are going to continue adding plants to this area, and gradually over time, the garden's going to move forward and there'll be less and less grass here, which is always exciting. All right, you all, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my channel so much. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.